Well, hello and welcome to all the Web3 enthusiasts. This is Max speaking, and welcome to the new exciting episode of Synopsis. Today we have a great guest who has a lot of things to tell us, and I have a lot of questions to ask. Please welcome Darius Tabai, CEO of Vertex Protocol. Hello, Darius. How are you today?
I'm good. Hi, Max. How you doing?
Likewise, thank you. I know that you have a very interesting and wide background. So I checked several podcasts with you and the guys out there telling a lot of words about your background. So let me give the word to you. Could you briefly introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us about your uh, journey in finance and Web3, and also tell us why did you actually decide to enter the Web3 space?
Yeah, so I'm the founder or one of the founders from Vertex Protocol, which is Vertex. Um, I started my career in FX options. So I was a trader doing derivatives trading for UBS, which is a large Swiss bank. Moved into metals options and then ended up running metals trading at Credit Suisse, or precious metals trading at Credit Suisse, and then moved over to Bank of America where I had a similar job doing base and precious, and then was at hedge fund for 5 years. And while I was at the hedge fund, sort of discovered crypto trading. I looked at Bitcoin before, but I didn't really start trading in the space until 2016, 17. Dabbled in that period, made a little bit of money, sort of drifted out of the space again, and then got really interested again in 2020 around the pandemic time. And by the end of 2020, DeFi summer kind of happened and or was en route and sort of had it in my eyes to move over and went full time initially as a trader and then very quickly had the initial idea of what is now Vertex. And raised money about 3.5 years ago, or met my co-founder 3.5 years ago, and then raised money in early 2022, just before the market imploded. And then, yeah, been sort of on the journey since then.
Awesome. So always a pleasure to have a discussion with a seasoned professional. Starting with a Swiss banking background sounds super interesting. Good start. And one more question to warm up. I think super easy for you. Vertex positions itself as a hybrid DEX. What does it combine to be considered hybrid?
So um, we combine like a number of things. Hybrid got used, I think. Trying to find some other words for it. So we combine spot and perps, which is sort of rare in our space. We also have a embedded borrow lend protocol, which means essentially for most people that they can use a variety of collaterals for their perps trading, but it also enables kind of leverage spot. We have some components off chain, some on chain. It's hybrid in lots of different ways, to be honest. That I think probably now I would say that we basically tried to optimize for performance and user experience rather than being stuck in one form of doing things or another. I think one of the problems with Web3 is a lot of approaches are very siloed, and so you lose the best of or the best in class type of tooling and performance that you can get from other sectors. So yeah, we tried to be compromised and we think it's provided a great experience for users.
Awesome. It's not surprisingly that today we're going to speak mostly about Vertex. And the next question is a little bit technical, but just a little bit. Could you please tell us how do you achieve 5 to 15 millisecond settlement time and decentralization, sorry, at the same time? We thought it's either high speed or decentralization, not both at the same time. So how do you guys combine it?
Yeah, so we use a off-chain sequencer to match orders and pass them down to chain. So that off-chain technology has a Rust-based EVM where we essentially allows us to like fast forward the contracts on chain. So we simulate what's going to happen on chain, pass it through the sequencer, and then once we have a match, that match gets passed to chain. So what that means is any transaction that moves value or custody, and indeed custody itself, all sits on chain, but any orders and the process of matching all happens off chain. So I think that's kind of the best compromise. So you get the low latency and high throughput from the off chain piece, but you get the security and stability and guarantees of the on chain piece.
Yeah, sounds like a great compromise, really. And more about Vertex. So please tell us, what blockchain networks does Vertex support? So are there more layer ones or layer two networks? And also, what are the criteria for blockchain network to be supported on your platform?
Yeah, so right now we support 9 different EVMs. You're testing me to remember them all, so let's try. We started out on Arbitrum. The second network we launched on was Blast, then Mantle. We then launched on Say. We've subsequently launched on Abstract, Sonic, Avalanche, and I'm forgetting one or two.
Well, that's still a lot. I counted 7.
Right, yeah, exactly. So apologies to whoever I forgot, but you get a good sense of, oh, we have one on Berachain, but it's a white label, so it's technically not our front end, but we have a partnership with another team that runs on it's a front end called BroTrade, which runs on Berachain. Then the fourth one, that last or the ninth one, I just can't quite remember, but I'll come back to you.
Yeah, okay. That's still a good. Yeah. So, and what are the criteria for networks to be supported on Vertex?
Yeah, generally we're looking for places where they have a unique user set, or for some reason they have community or something that we don't currently encompass in the network. I think one of the things with Web3 is there's not that many users, and so they move around from chain to chain. But there are like a hardcore of community on any chain that just sits and tends to have their assets and activity on that chain alone. And so our multi-chain strategy is all about going there and capturing those users and bringing them into the network.
Get it. Thank you. So a little bit about technologies. So has the 7-day withdrawal waiting period of Optimistic Rollups ever hindered your operations? And do you favor optimistic or zero knowledge technology, and why?
Yeah, so I think when we started out, there were far fewer L2s than there are now. And our initial assessment was, we worried about the 7-day rollback and would that affect performance, and would there ever be, we spent ages looking at that as a problem in inverted commas. We were like, oh, a ZK solution would be way preferable and cheaper. And the truth was, or the truth is, I don't know that you hear much of that 7-day challenge period ever being a massive thing. And the ecosystem and infrastructure is built around optimistic rollups such that it doesn't really affect anything. Similarly with ZK technology as it's come out and started to roll out, I think from a UX standpoint, broadly they've been the same. Obviously, there are like different things you can do with ZK around privacy. Optimistic normally has a high performance, but since the IP 4844, gas costs have collapsed so much that a lot of the differences have sort of gone away from a user standpoint or from a builder standpoint. They're really just slightly different underlying architectures you can use to build on with EVM.
Absolutely. Thank you. And the next thing I'd like to ask comes out of my curiosity. So, like numbers and interesting facts. So, Vertex states that it provides liquidity for all sizes. Could you tell us what was the largest BTC order filled on Vertex to date, and how long did it take to be filled?
That's a great question. I'm actually not sure. Um, I've seen open interest on a single account in the range of like 5 to 10 million. And we've seen liquidations go through in that kind of size. So I assume it's around that. It's going to be, but most people, once you get over a million or two, most people will execute very slowly and cautiously on any order book. They're generally not just like pressing buy or sell into the book. So I assume the biggest order that's been filled is probably on the order of, I don't know, $1 million.
That's huge, and actually, really not a must-know answer. Just coming out of my curiosity, maybe get a dig deeper after and see the exact numbers. But still, sounds solid. Okay, thank you. And let's speak a little bit about the audience. So every time, every project, I ask to tell something about the audience image, if you have some. So on your website, we can see that UK and the USA are listed as restricted territories. So
Yeah.
where do you guys operate, and who is your target audience? Where are they located?
Yeah, we generally don't target people geographically,
Uh-oh.
given that we're sort of a crypto project. A lot of our advertising or a lot of our marketing and outreach is generally on the web, so it would be CT, so you never know where the users are. Having said that, we do run campaigns occasionally in Asia. We found that like Asia have a very active trading community, which is always cool to engage with. But yeah, the users come from all over. I think we tend to have very good uptake from people, I would say, on the more professional end of the scale. So people that have like worked in crypto, worked in trading firms, or have some connection with the industry somehow, as well as just generic everyday users.
Wow. So not targeting geographically aligns with the
We
principles of
do, we do,
decentralization.
we do occasionally, but it really depends. It's like it varies from month to month, and who we can engage with, which partners we can use for marketing, etc.
Okay, cool. So the landscape of the whole industry is evolving every second. So the approach is always different. So also makes sense. Okay. And if it is something you can comment on, actually, it's kind of your personal opinion, not just commenting the regulations, but how do you think what regulatory changes need to happen for Vertex to start operating in the UK and the USA, actually?
It's a good question. I'll have to come back to you on that one. I think, to be honest, it's happening now. Like, we're starting to get more regulatory clarity. But I think, we try and be thoughtful and cautious and respectful of regulations as and where they occur. So as we see bigger regulations come out, and you see that's happening in the States currently, and I think it will happen everywhere, we too will like change our approach as those things evolve.
Got it. So yeah, everyone is trying to be cautious about it, but something that some feeling of the air is electrolyzed, and something on the fingertips. Finally, maybe we'll see some regulatory shifts. So looking forward to it. Awesome. So moving on to the next thing, and could you tell us about the biggest technical challenge the Vertex team has faced so far, and how do you overcome it? Maybe not the biggest one, something interesting. What comes to your mind?
Yeah, I think one of the most challenging things was when we built out the multi-chain capabilities. The fact that we like settle onto numerous different chains simultaneously, dealing with that risk management, keeping the different chains in sync. That was extremely challenging, and that really certainly the big initial lift on that was my co-founder Alwyn just did tremendous amount of work on it. The initial idea was mine, but I mean, an idea takes 30 seconds. Implementing something takes a lot more lift. And he did a fantastic job doing that. So that was a huge one. I think you face so many challenges along the way, you kind of forget, to be honest. You deal with one, you come to another one, you deal with another. But yeah, the multi-chain stuff, I think, was probably the biggest.
Get it. Thank you. And one thing I'd like to ask you tell us more about is the edge liquidity layer. So could you please introduce it and tell something to our audience?
Yeah, so the way Edge works is really it creates a network of exchanges. So you have Vertex Arbitrum, Vertex Mantle, Vertex Base, Vertex. That was the network I forgot was Base. Vertex Sonic. These all interact with each other at a order book level for perps. And then what happens is, as a user, you might match with, let's say you're on Arbitrum and I'm on Say, we might match. But when that match happens, there's a back-to-back that's booked. So we have something called the X account that has risk on both Arbitrum and Say equal and offsetting. Now, the nice thing between those two is you have your risk here, I have my risk there. We feel that we were entirely on our own blockchain. But actually what's happened is that thing has traded across chains. And periodically we do loads of these. And as P&L gets out of balance between chains, we'll transport via a bridge from one chain to another. Now that happens relatively infrequently. Like I would say once every couple of weeks on average. But that creates like a tremendous amount of efficiency between the chains. And so yeah, it's been very successful. It's been up and running for almost 18 months. And yeah, it's enabled us to go lots of places and do volume in plenty of different places.
Awesome. Thank you. So just a few more things we have prepared for today to discuss. So before we come to the section of advices, so let's take a look into the future and speak a little bit long-term goals, maybe some teasers, announcements. So how do you think, or maybe you actually do know, what will happen to Vertex in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, ultimately, I think Vertex has the sort of technology that we would like to take into a TradFi space. You know, I came from that direction. Our feeling is that ultimately a lot of these products will move on chain. And the architecture we've built would be ideally suited to trading FX, bonds, equities as it is to crypto. So that would be my like super long-term goal. In the short term, we just aim to connect as many blockchains as possible and try and build network liquidity between those.
Well, sounds awesome. So the more blockchains, the more names we'll get to keep in mind answering the questions who are attached. Okay, great. So we're getting to the final stage of this podcast for today. So could you please be a kind of a guide for our audience in this sea of information? So the landscape, the narratives, the trends are changing almost daily. So could you share what there is you personally track? What are the Web3 industry trends you pay the most attention to?
Yeah, obviously outside of perps, which is, you know, my sort of segment, I'm kind of really like a BTC and ETH maxi. The ETH part of that has not worked out very well over time, but I think if you look at the space, like those two have kind of broadly outperformed. I know Sol's had a good run. I think we're in a bit of a like think we're in a little bit of a liquidity bifurcation. And what I mean by that is if you look at, say, the top 20 coins, they just vastly outperform on a Sharpe ratio basis the, say, coins from like 250 and under. And basically, like, there's a flight to quality in crypto at the moment. Um, and I think that will continue. You'll obviously always see these kind of crazy outperformers that come from nowhere and go higher. But generally, I look for things that I can short versus things that I want to long and maintain a kind of pair profile, a pair trading type profile where broadly neutral, biased long with BTC, and then just go short lots of other things to kind of capture some alpha there as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And since you mentioned your BTC Max, so congratulations on the new all-time highs. And for
Appreciate it.
for every viewer, I think it's great news and a great new step, part of the history milestone, call it whatever you like. So yeah, we're living in a great times, and yeah, actually, this great episode is coming to the end. So we're at the final traditional part of all our interviews. So, Darius, so what would be your advice for the Synopsis viewers? So, not a financial one, of course, but something to pay an eye on, maybe to track some new trends or to go and learn something new, anything, just what you find useful for our audience to hear. So, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I would say is, if you're listening to this or watching this, you're into crypto, you like it, maybe consider moving to working in crypto. There's like big industry, there's a lot going on, there's a shortage of good people. There's plenty of roles from marketing, finance, legal, developers, business people. Like there's all kinds of things needed, and frankly, just not enough people. So if you're into crypto, my biggest advice would be like, if you're that into it, maybe you should be working in it. So hopefully we get some of your listeners to come and join the industry.
Well, sounds like a great advice. So it's something new, something fresh. By the way, for some reason, no one before mentioned the audience who is out of Web3, who are just curious about it. But yeah, I'm 100% sure that maybe even 50% of our viewers are not into crypto in the
Yeah.
terms of working. So yeah, guys, consider these steps and take a look at
The
the
call to action.
there's yeah great call to action and a very positive ending we have here. So actually the entire podcast today appeared to be pretty positive. Thanks for this, Darius. And at this point, I got to say thank you for joining, for your time, and thanks for our audience for watching till the end. So guys, stay tuned, take care, and consider working in Web3. So it's pretty comfy here. So come join. So thank you, Darius.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.